Hey everybody, it's Cros. Today we have a problem in the house that developed probably about 2-3 days ago. And what we're looking at is the garbage disposal under the sink. And if I run the water on that side, hey, look at that. We're getting immediate leakage coming directly out of that. So we ordered a new one. I went to Lowe's and looked at them, but the problem was that I went online to Lowe's website, and what was in store was not reflective of what was on the website. And so price wise and just everything, we ended up going through Amazon. Garbage disposals are actually not that difficult. You get to have two hoses, an electrical connector, and then one clamp. We obviously have the bucket underneath just to make sure, that when water comes out, we're catching it and we don't have some crazy spillage. Well, the way I found it is because a couple days ago, 2 days, 3 days ago, this whole area was flooded, and I ended up throwing out a bunch of stuff. I had to throw out a bunch of stuff, and I had to wash the trash can and do a bunch of other stuff. So we're going to get going on this. It's really not that difficult. This will be the third one I've probably ever done. And to be totally honest, there's nothing in the sink that you really need to do. It's not that difficult. So we'll get started on that right now. All right, so to start, we're going to get these two hoses off. I have a 1/4-inch ratchet drive with, I don't even know what size this is. All I did was put it on to test a few, and with a 3/8 socket on there. So we're going to take the top one and the bottom one. Bottom one has 2 bolts on it. It would help if I was going the right way on this. And you can see it didn't take that much force. There's no reason on these to really clamp down super duper hard on them. Most of the stuff down here, you might be able to see that second one over there. But if you get really gung-ho about tightening these things down, there's a great chance that you're going to warp it and mess it up. So both of those are loose. What we don't want to do is drop it into the bucket on accident, because then I'll have to get my hand in that disgusting water. There's one. Okay, so 2 of those, I have them on the counter where I can remember where I put them. All right, so for this, we're not worried about it right now, okay? Now we're going to go for that right there, and instead of using the driver, I'm just going to use a screwdriver to loosen up this clamp. Let's see if this finger, I can use my fingers on that. Yep, all right, so we can use our fingers on that one. What I'm doing is I'm loosening the clamp enough to get it back and make sure that it doesn't keep the hose on there. All right, so where it's at right now, it definitely can come off, but because of the movement and everything like that, it won't come off until we're ready to actually take the entire thing off. Outside of that, oh wow, it smells super pleasant. So these right here are just adjusters. You should not have to take them off to get the entire thing off. What we want to do is right here, this piece right here with these circular pieces. That is actually one giant nut that will screw onto it. So I want to find something with some leverage, get it in there, and see if we can't break the torque on that. I'm probably not going to be able to do this with the camera. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to have to really get in on this, and I don't want to break slam my knuckles into it. So after I get this off, I'll be back. Okay, so on that last video, I was not listening to righty tighty lefty loosey. I was being dumb. Figured out what I did, and it honestly turned just a tiny little bit before the whole thing came crashing down. So when that thing threads, it doesn't thread very much, and it doesn't take much to get that off. The last time I did this one, this particular piece was so hard to get off, and yeah. Anywho, you can see it's completely off now. This will all stay here, okay? This stays with the sink. You shouldn't need to replace that. However, your new garbage disposal might come with all that stuff just to make sure that everything fits the way it's supposed to. But again, these are mostly universal sizes, so hopefully you won't need to. As you can see, it just sits there on this one. That hose I'm gonna have to work off, obviously. And yeah, okay, I'll be back in a little bit. All right, so the old one came off. I just had to kind of twist the body of the disposal to work that hose off. So you can see one hose, two hose. You can see daylight coming through there. The smell coming out of this thing is amazing. Whatever. All right, so the new one, we have a Frigidaire half horsepower food waste disposal. Honestly, unless you're throwing like raw meat or cooked meat or bones or anything, you really shouldn't need anything more than a half horsepower. The other part of that too is they have a third horsepower that's weaker. That's, you know, a third horsepower. And you might be able to get away with that. It really depends on a lot of factors: family size, what you are actually using the disposal, everything like that. Amazon has a really good, when I was shopping for the garbage disposals on Amazon, they had a really good like chart of the different, you know, horsepowers and what they were used for. So if you're ever just, you know, if you're ever wondering what size you need, Amazon has some pretty good stuff. All right. No, that's not what I wanted to happen at all, but whatever. All right, so you can see I don't know why we have an L joint, but whatever. Oh, this is heavy. Okay. I might not. There we go. All right, so we got a thinner one. You can see it's not the exact same. It's a little bit thinner. Let's see here. We have, don't need that. We have the electrical, and then we have all the connection pieces on here as well. Is that supposed to, oh, that's, really? It comes with its own plug. Comes with a flange, and that's it. I don't see any hardware or anything like that on here. I'm surprised it doesn't come with any of the hardware that you would need to... No, that's the bottom. Yeah, it doesn't come with any of the hardware. Huh. Well, that's why we save hardware always. Oh, no, it has... Okay, I'm an idiot. It has it right in the flange bag. Alright, so we're going to put you to the side. I don't think we need that. But as you can see, looking at the old one, which has all that grossness on that one, but you can see it has the small attachment and then the larger attachment with the flange piece. This is the exact same, smaller. But as you can see, if you look in there, that smaller one has a plug in it. They all have these plugs. And if you don't remove that plug and you set everything up, you're going to get a lot of water underneath your, actually in your sink, and possibly underneath your sink. Hold on. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to come out. What the heck? All right. Well, nice. Let me get everything set up and I'll be back. All right. I think we're ready. Fun fact, even though this is another Frigidaire, same brand and everything, the socket size is now 10 millimeter and the threads are actually finer than the old ones were. The flange is just a little bit different shape, so I'm really hoping I don't have to take this thing off to get this flange, to do that flange. So, I apologize if a lot of my body is covering it, but I gotta get in here. Alright. So the first thing we're willing to do is get this oh wow, what the heck? Oh no. Oh, does this need to come off? Yep, this piece is gonna have to come off. Anyway, okay. Anyway, I'm hoping this works. Alright, I gotta figure out how to get my body in here so I can do this more comfortably than I think. I don't want to replace this piece if I don't have to. We'll test it out. Let's see what's up. All right. Oh, why did the clamp come down? Oh, it still smells very lovely down here. All right, let's see if I can get in here. There. All right. So I want this hose attached before I do. Okay. All right. Come on. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to fit, do you? No, that's not gonna. Very odd. Huh, it doesn't fit on this thing. Damn, that's not what I wanted to see. Alright. That's fine. Last time I did this, I didn't have to replace. Alright, I'm back, and my assistant's finally here. But one quick trip, because we needed plumber's putty. We had to redo the entire thing now, just because for some odd reason, even though they're the same brand, they don't fit the same. So with plumber's putty, you can see how this is not the easiest thing in the world, and it's a bit stretchy, so you don't have to take much. It is shapeable, and you can see that it's not that bad. All right, so we're just going to make a ring of putty. We're going to make a ring of putty, and it will stretch out once we put the flange piece on there, so we don't need like a huge ton of it. So we're just going to continue to putty, get a little tiny bit of overlap on there. Okay, we're going to have to do this a lot faster at some point. Now that the dogs are all excited. Now, when you're using plumber's putty, just be real careful. The instructions are pretty clear on what you do and don't want to use it on. Basically, we don't use it as a glue or an adhesive. It is a water sealant, but it doesn't really set in the way that you would think like a glue does. It doesn't get hard. It doesn't do any of that. So make sure that you're always using it responsibly. All right, let's see if I can get this in here. Beautiful. All right. All right. We can see that it made a nice little seal all the way around it. And I'm just going to take the extra because we don't want that poking above it. And we'll just get rid of some of it. Okay. And then plumber's putty takes no time to set because it doesn't actually get hard ever. But it is watertight. All right. Coming back underneath. We're going to have so much fun. All right, we have all the components. We have everything we need. Oh. In there. All right, so seal with the flange. And that will tighten up on that. And then we're going to take this piece here. And that's going to sit just like that. Hopefully. And then we have to get this ring on here as well. And you can see the rings separates. All right. Perfect. And now nothing will come out. Next thing we need to do is bring all these up. Remember that when you do something like this, you bring it up evenly. You want all of them to come up. You never want it to be lopsided. Appreciate the dogs having a musical in the back. So remember, nice and even. So you never tighten everything up all at the same time. But we do want to keep it steady while we're doing all this. Okay, that one's pretty good. Nope. Alright, two of them are pretty tight now. Third one's pretty good. And then we always go back and just make sure they're all nice and, yeah, see, that wasn't super tight. Alright, that one's good. That one's pretty good. And what the heck? That one's pretty tight. Alright, so this whole assembly, should now be pretty tight on here. You can see. Seriously? We got our helper here, yep. Apparently, who needs some attention. Alright. Alright, so again, so this whole assembly should be pretty good. We have the hose is not clamped down yet. It doesn't need to be just yet. And I did not replace this flange because I'm seriously hoping it doesn't need it. I'm still super annoyed that even though it's the exact same brand, the threads are completely different and the size on this is completely different. So fingers crossed that we don't need to get crazy with it. All right. So what we need to do is we need this piece to not do that. All right. Come on. I need all three of them to catch at the same time. There's someone in the back that's not catching though. Did it? Oh yeah, it did. Alright, so if you get really in here, you can see that there's that hook. There's three of them. All three of them need to hook onto the flanges that are on this piece. So what we're going to do, all three of them have been caught. And then we just bring it up. I'm going to come from this direction. And then we just give it that nice little extra love to make sure that it's all nice and good. Beautiful. All right, we're going to slowly turn this just to make sure that this pipe lines up. All right. So we got our hose on there. Let's see if we can get this flange started. Maybe. Please don't be difficult. Please tell me you're not this different size. You're a different size. Oh, come on. Come on, just start. Please just start. Nope. Alright. So you got to line it up pretty decently in here to get this rubber gasket on. And then you punch the cabinet wall on accident and hurt yourself. Alright, so see how much easier it started now that I got the disposal lined up correctly on here? And then we're going to get the back one in as well. Maybe. If it doesn't want to cross thread. Perfect. Alright, so this whole thing is on now. We're just going to finger tight for now. Okay. Alright. Let's bring our clamp in. Make sure our hose is nice and on there. Alright, so. Man. Alright, I'm going to tighten the hose down first. The hose clamp is. Now remember with these hose clamps, you have a rubber hose and a steel clamp. So you need to get it tight, but if you try to over tighten it, that steel can start cutting into that rubber, and then you created a new problem. An easy to fix problem overall, but you know, why create a problem? Alright, and then we tighten up our bolts in here. Remember, again, we never tighten it all the way down until everything is kind of where it needs to be. Because that one had a lot of traveling to do. It's still not tight. Come on. Hi, buddy. I think it's starting to tighten up now. Okay. Yep. And then we're just going to get it nice and snug. Nice and snug. Okay. It should be done. It should be pretty good. We still need to connect it. Electrical on here. And remember that there's going to be an electrical connector under the sink that is wired to the switch. So you always put it back where you got it, where the old one came off. Alright, so this should be done. This should be good and ready to use. So we'll be back in just a minute, and because we're gonna put a bucket under there and a towel before we do anything, so that if it's not done correctly, we're not gonna flood the sink. All right, so we got the bucket, we got the towel. Let's test this out. I don't see any water. I don't see any water. All right. I don't feel any water. So remember that when it comes to water, especially in a darker place, a darker area, you can't always see it. So you always want to make sure your hand is dry, and then start feeling around for it. All right, let's try the disposal. Still pretty dry. It feels good to me. Yeah, it feels like it's doing its job. It is kind of loud, not gonna lie. Yeah, pretty loud, and it kind of shoots water up, but I would say it's a job done. I'm not gonna say well done, because I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, but it's a job that's been done. So that is removing and replacing a garbage disposal. So yeah. All right, thanks for joining. Bye.